or so, 73, it was 73. Anyway, what I was going to say is that Dad said to Joe and I've retired now, so I can come. And Joe and Dad said, when are you going to retire? And Joe and I said, why should I retire? I've got it all. I've got it made. Why should I retire? And then I asked him at dinner, I said, you know what, in your wildest dreams, did you think as a young revolutionary in the caves of Yan'an, did you ever think you'd be sitting here in the Great Hall of People as the Prime Minister of China, of the People's Republic of China? And he said, you know, when we were young revolutionaries sitting in the caves of Yan'an, we thought it was so easy. All we had to do was win. But he said when we became victorious and ran the government, that's when our problems began.
It's a different story, yeah.
We didn't realize it then, but it was still in the middle of the Cultural Revolution. This is 1971. So I mean, he had real problems. So I mean, he really meant what he said. But the thing that started this was that he told Dad that the biggest problem in China in the future will be pollution. And now he said that in 1971. And now in the year 2001, you see how far-sighted he was.
Well, it's one of the biggest problems for the world, too.
Yeah.
For the
Can I have some
world,
more
not
tea,
just
ma'am?
China.
Oh, I'll be happy to pour you some more tea, Audrey. It's nice to see you're thirsty.
And cut.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is it on?
it's on. You see the little tally light inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Richard. Are we ready?
Should we count them down?
We're
Are you
rolling
fine?
now. We're rolling.
Should I count them down?
Yeah.
5, 4, 3.
Hi, Richard. Come and join us. Yeah.
Good to see you, Richard.
Hello, hello.
Nice
I
to
see you brought your own teacup.
I brought my own teacup. Is there any extra tea?
Sure, I'll give you some tea.
Thanks.
So,
Oh, good.
Rich, you were with us in China, and when did you make the film?
In 1975,
1975, China Mission, it resulted in. Remember, we were all there filming, but the most probably, besides the Fan Cheng and grandmother's tomb, was when we went to the Xi'an
Xi'an.
for Qin Shi
On a
Huangdi's
rainy
tomb.
day, do you remember that?
Oh.
And they had all their clothes out hanging because,
Yeah,
no, wait,
yeah.
they had rain, and it was a sunny day when we came to Xi'an the first day, and they had all their clothes out hanging to dry because they didn't, they'd had so much rain.
But this started raining. It was-
And then later on it started raining again, but hopefully they got their clothes off the line.
Well, I'm glad you're worried about those people.
Yes, I was very worried about them.
Well, I'll never forget how it was raining so hard they told us we couldn't come. We couldn't go. We got all the way to Xi'an. Hao Wanghua, the foreign minister, made special arrangements. He was then the ambassador to Canada for us to come. And we came there in this lineup of cars, and they said we couldn't go to Qin Shi Huangdi's tomb. And remember, Dad said, knowing the Chinese will do anything to avoid a scene, said, make a fuss, make a scene. So we all screamed and yelled. They said, okay. This was after about a 12-course banquet to keep us happy. So we got in these cars and off we went. You know, we were the first ones to see, we were the first journalists to see, this was 1974. It's five. They had only discovered it in 74.
And the first pictures to be taken, too.
Yeah.
they still had only unearthed a few dozen
Oh, yeah,
terracotta
yeah,
soldiers.
yeah.
And I remember we were asked not to take any photographs.
Yeah, right.
And I trailed our group as we made our way through the building where there were some soldiers on display. And I sort of, without looking through my camera, I turned and clicked and resumed walking with the group, and nobody caught me. So
Well, and even if they did, they wouldn't have said anything, because I did the same thing with the still camera. And my pictures turned out in the cover of National Geographic magazine, you know, and inside, in Horizon magazine. But I have to tell you, Richard, the funniest thing, you know, Richard is Mamie's son, Chester's grandson, Oliver's great-grandson. But how tall are you, Richard?
6'5" and a half in the morning.
6'5" in the morning, and at night he's got a
6'5".
swelled head. But I remember it was pouring rain, and there were mud puddles all over the place. And Richard was squatted down, looking into the recently excavated soldiers and horses. You were squatting down, just staring at this.
Mhm.
And a little woman about this big, came and stood beside you. And looking at your blonde hair, and she was the same height as you were squatting down. And then it was another person that came and just looked at Richard. And then Richard started getting up. And he got up and up.
He thought he was never going to
And
unwind.
this little lady, she walked backwards. She was afraid. She walked backwards and she tripped in the mud and went flat on her back in a mud puddle because she was watching Richard.
Unwind.
But you made quite a hit there.
Wo Hung Gao.
Oh, hung
I'm
up.
very tall. Wo Hung Gao.
Oh, very tall. 6'5.5". Yeah. Well, I know the Chinese would follow you around as if you were a giant from Mongolia or something.
I have a great picture, I think, from Xinjiang with school children standing around me, about 40 of them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they practically come up to my waist, and I'm towering above them. It's a pretty amazing shot.
But remember, this is changing the subject just a little bit. Remember when we went to Peking to the big meet they had of all the athletes from
Oh yeah, the sports.
the
stadium.
sports event?
That was the
Richard wasn't the tallest.
Yeah.
Oh,
All those athletes were huge people from.
volleyball players were very tall.
Yeah, and the
Well,
basketball
that's-
players.
The first thing I noticed when I came back to China in 1971, after leaving in 1948, was how much taller the people were.
Hmm. And even in Japan, they're saying
And how
that
much
now.
better teeth they had, how much healthier they were. You know, and when you see that in a nation, that you know they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Even though they were paying the price because of the Cultural Revolution in 1971, well, from 66 to 76, 10 years. But still, the younger people, they were all tall.
Because they had better food, better everything,
Yeah,
living conditions,
better food.
and compared to when we arrived in 1946.
But,
I remember seeing the 10,000 Buddhas cave,
oh yeah.
and I was following Audrey up the mountain because we were walking, and I was carrying the tripod and the camera, and I didn't know what to expect that I was going to see when we got to the top of this mountain, but I sure was tired and couldn't wait to get up there. But anyway, I remember spinning around after hitting the top step and looking at all of these giant statues of Buddha carved into a semicircle into this, I think it was a cave, and then it collapsed. And it was so remarkable to see all those innate carvings of Buddha that were exquisite.
Well, the artwork in China is
It's unbelievable.
unbelievable. But I remember looking down into the tomb of Chin Tzu Huangdi and to these soldiers. It was raining.
Ready to go, guys.
You know, that was one of the greatest moments of my life. To look down at this excavation and see, as I said, you know, like an ancient battlefield. And you see these warriors and the horses. Remember, the horses were all 6 abreast.
With their
and
chariots.
broken backs and their chariots. And the thing is, they looked so alive because it was raining. You know, the rain made their eyes glisten. And then you'd see a boot sticking up out of the turf or a hand sticking out of it as if saying,
And they were-
help, help.
Yeah.
You know, release me, release me. And they did, but when we saw it, I think we saw it at the best time.
Oh my goodness, yes, compared to after they made it into a museum.
Yeah, this is before they had a roof or anything.
I recall seeing them sort of half buried,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, they weren't totally
still in
excavated
the
yet.
earth with
Yeah.
broken torsos
Exactly.
and the
Necks.
fierce faces, and
Yeah.
it looked like a frozen moment in time from an ancient battle.
Exactly.
And apparently there was some soot and smoke and ashes from
Yeah.
a fire that
That's right.
happened a few thousand years ago when they tried to loot the the tomb.
Yeah. During the Han
And
Dynasty. yeah.
they withdrew the weapons. Every soldier had a real weapon. So there was a virtual real fortress there that
Yeah.
the looters needed those weapons for.
Yeah, yeah. But fortunately, they only got a very small portion of it. But wasn't it fun? Remember on the way?
Oh, I remember on the
We
way,
stopped at the foot of Black Horse
Black
Hill,
Horse Hill.
where they had the hot springs of the former emperor.
Yeah, Grandpa and I had the Emperor's bathtub to
That's
ourselves.
Grandpa Chester,
Grandpa Chester.
yeah, our father. Yeah,
And
yeah.
we had the Emperor's bathtub to ourselves.
Oh wow!
And we got to languish in this gigantic tub with the most ornate tile work you've ever seen.
Yeah,
And about every 5 feet, there was a dragon's head or a lion's head with a spout that the hot sulfur water came out of. And it took about 45 minutes to fill up.
yeah,
But once it filled up and the steam was rising, it just, and the room itself, because it was an old structure, a palace-like structure, it felt like you were actually back in time.
yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you were. You were the
Yeah.
emperor. And
Yeah.
Leslie and I, in the meantime, and Mamie, we were all luxuriating in our own bathtubs.
Did you sling off your swimsuits?
Oh no, not us.
Chester and I did.
Yeah, actually, we did. It was very private.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a great experience. Mamie. Audrey. Cut that out of focus. And who's that tree?
Those are the four sisters, and two of them were born in China.
No, just one.
Mamie,
Close enough, Leslie.
Sylvia was not born in China?
No. Alton and Mamie were born in China. Sylvia was out there when she was
Alton and Mamie.
when she was 16. I mean, when she was 6 years old. Huh?
2 to 7.
2 to 7. You see, everybody has a different story. And here's Richard taking
They were there for
this
5
big
years.
camera. Wow. It should be pretty strong.
Got 6 bits.
Okay, Richard?
Stand by. Go.
Hi, Mame.
Hello!
May May.
Welcome to my humble abode. So,
Not so humble. Not so humble.
it's so good to see
Ah.
you again.
You little fart. Oh, sorry. I forgot there was a mic on.
Oh, Leslie, I haven't seen you for so long. It's good to
Wow.
see you.
I see you got a garden here.
Well, this is my little pagoda, pretend, you know.
Oh, I
tea
love
house
it.
there. And then this is my Kukian garden. You see,
Ku-
these are Kukian, where we used to go up.
Kuling. Oh, you mean Jujian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where we used to go up for summer vacation. And
Oh,
remember the
yeah.
clouds that used to come trailing through the
Yeah,
house?
yeah.
And so I don't have the cabin here, but I have the mountains.
In
and-
Kuling. This was in
Kuling,
Kuling. Yeah,
yeah.
in Kuling.
And these
Yeah.
are the clouds. I plant clouds every spring. And I'm not
Well,
crazy.
you got your head in the clouds, I think. Now tell me about this path. I love this path.
Well, every spring I have to make a new one.
Here, Leslie, let's get a picture of the garden.
Okay.
Here, just a minute. Just
Okay.
a minute. Let me get a picture of this character here. Who is this guy? Uh-oh. Got this on. This is Richard Westland. That's Mamie's son. Mamie's oldest son. He's going to be shooting
Oldest
a
and
little
only.
bit, oldest and only. So I don't know how you call oldest son, Gogo's brother.
Okay,
We
well,
used to call him
Yeah.
Misikatachipa.
That's a bundle full of naughtiness. Okay, well tell me about this.
Well, this is a Japanese maple that I sort of gave an oriental style to, but I see it needs a little more trimming right now.
Leslie, look at the mom's garden here.
it's beautiful.
Isn't this great?
Yeah.
I like this.
But my favorite
This
garden's
is-
over here. Do you want to have a look at it?
Okay. We're going to see Mamie's favorite garden.
See, I have another little tea house up here with a path going up to it.
See, Mamie, you took China home with you.
I know, I can't just plant a flower garden. I have to make a scene, you know, like a little story.
You can take the woman out of China, but you can't take China out of the woman.
That's about the size of it, yeah. And I just planted this one recently. That's a silver mound, isn't that?
Which one? This one?
A silver one.
Yeah, and here's your little pavilion. This is great.
And I just moved that rock down there by myself. I think that's what happened to my back.
Yeah,
Okay, why don't we go in and have a cup of tea or something?
that sounds a good idea. Or something.